Conklin and Company, everyone. This month, the month of April, is Child Abuse Prevention Month. There have been a number of activities to really raise awareness about the problem this month. One, Wear Blue Day, back on the 10th of April. A memorial service last week to honor the victims. And here to talk about the never-ending, ongoing battle in the effort to prevent child abuse is Lucas County Executive Director of Children's Services, Dean Sparks. Good to see you again, Dean.
Thank you for having us, Lee.
You know, I mentioned never-ending battle. And with the staff that you have at Children's Services, you have so many things you have to do. You have to find loving homes for kids who really need them. Mm-hmm. But in preventing child abuse, it just seems like it almost seems insurmountable sometimes.
Well, you know, and I think that's really the key to our business, and our goal is to work ourselves out of jobs so that no child is ever abused. But obviously we know that's like saying there's never going to be any crime or those kind of things. But it is a continuous effort that we can educate our community, educate parents about strategies so that kids aren't abused. Because, you know, most kids are abused by people who are supposed to be caring for them, and they intend to care for their kids. Most people don't want to abuse their kids. It just happens because of poor parenting, poor impulse control, domestic violence, substance abuse, mental illness. All those things play a big role in it. Economic problems. So if we can get the word out to some of those parents that there are alternatives to abusing your kids, that's what child abuse prevention is, and that's what we're trying to accomplish through all of our public information campaigns, through our parenting classes, through our speaking engagements, and television shows like this. So thank you for your interest in it.
You bet. And I know you have PSAs on your website, the Lucas County Children's Services website. But you mentioned all the factors that go into this, to this problem. Kids who are having babies, not ready to be parents.
That's right.
And then, of course, the other factors, the economy, money issues, and then substance abuse. I think all equal parts?
All of them are equal parts, but I think so. You know, but there's one commonality for all of them, and that is that the people that abuse kids are oftentimes socially isolated. They don't have appropriate support systems. They're too young, and they don't have parents that were able to provide for them, to provide good role models for them themselves. They don't have positive friendships that can help them care for their kids. So we got these young parents, although certainly it's not just young people. 4 of the children who were killed in the last year were killed by people who were right around 50 years old or older. So it's not just young people that reach that isolation, that sense of desperation, that they strike out, they don't know what else to do, and they hurt their kids.
A memorial service last week to honor the victims of abuse. And you mentioned 4 cases, though. In one particular case, just finishing with the sentencing of a man named Antonio Cervantes, who was sentenced in conjunction with the baby in the freezer. Kenesha Pruitt sentenced for actually committing the killing. When you see things like that, Dean, I mean, is that a case where that is so far gone that cannot be prevented, something to that extent?
Well, you know,
I mean, when you look at that from afar.
You know, there's prevention about when I can identify who a perpetrator is and find out what it is that person needs in order to keep them from hurting their child. That's a case that, first of all, we have to know about it in the beginning. We have to know, as far as I know, nobody even knew that woman was having a baby. And so it's going to be very difficult to prevent that. And that was an extreme case. We had 11 children that were killed from child abuse between last April and this April. That's the most we've had in the 17 years that I've been associated with this agency. And most of those cases, we didn't have much, if any, contact at all with them. So I don't know how you can predict that this person is going to abuse a child. You can't do that. What we have to do is figure out how we can support parents that are caring for their kids through all of the kind of service areas, the formal ones, mental health, substance abuse, the faith community, the education community, but it's more than that. It's about families, it's about neighbors. It's about reaching out when you see somebody that's stressed, somebody that's isolated, to reach out to them, lend them a hand, not just for their kids, but for their lives, so that they can feel a part of a community and they're going to be less likely to abuse their kids.
You have warning signs up on your website, so maybe you can speak to some of those, but then how do you direct somebody, say you need help before you hurt your child? How do you go about directing that person to actually take action?
Well, first of all, if we have somebody that calls us and says, I believe this person is in danger of hurting a child, and if we can substantiate that, we can say to that person, we believe that there's a problem here, and let us help you identify what those problems are and ways that we can get that taken care of through counseling, through education, through economic resources, or whatever it is that's causing the problem. But the fact of the matter is, for Children's Services, we are a reactive agency. Because somebody might hurt their child, we can offer them services, we can offer to hook them up, but we can't insist upon it. Once a child has been abused, obviously, then we have a lot more leverage using the courts and the police department to help force, if you will, that parent to get those services, or to separate the child on a temporary or even a permanent basis, if that's appropriate. But our community has a variety of resources, but the fact of the matter is those resources are decreasing in our community as the economics get bad. In the political arena, children's things often go first. Yeah.
Lucas County Children's Services Executive Director Dean Sparks. Now, if you recognize or believe a child is being abused or neglected, please call the number right here on your screen. It's 419-213-CARE. That's 419-213-2273. That conversation with Dean a little bit earlier this past week. When we come back, we'll lighten things up a little. We're going to talk football and the NFL draft. So how the Lions and the Browns do with their first picks. A draft expert breaks it down in just a minute.